Amara sat quietly on the plush, cream-colored couch in her family's expansive living room, scrolling endlessly through her phone without seeing anything on the screen. The marble floors reflected the golden glow of the chandelier above. Fresh flowers perfumed the air, and everything around her screamed wealth and comfort, yet her heart felt heavy. She had just returned from an engagement party, one where every woman arrived hand in hand with love, except her. Just then, her younger cousin, Lillian, walked in, her heels clicking confidently against the floor. She dropped her designer handbag and smiled with sharp satisfaction. "Hello, Amara," she said sweetly. "Still single, I see." Amara looked up, annoyed. "What do you want now, Lillian?" Lillian laughed, flipping her braids. "You're richer than me, older than me, yet no man wants you. Isn't that embarrassing? You have everything except what really matters." Amara's eyes hardened. "Watch your mouth." But Lillian wasn't done. "I'm getting married in 2 months. Guess where you'll be sitting? With the single women at the back." That was enough. "Get out," Amara snapped. Lillian waved an invitation card proudly. Then she strutted out like she owned the place. Furious, Amara stormed into the kitchen where her mother, Mrs. Grace, was making tea. When Amara poured out everything, her mother sighed deeply and said the words that hurt the most. "She's wrong for insulting you, but she's not wrong about one thing. You need a man." Amara felt betrayed. She grabbed her keys and walked out, slamming the door behind her. 2 days later, Amara was driving home from a shopping mall. Her mind was still troubled. The family reunion at Elderstone Estate was just a week away. Everyone would be there with their husbands or fiancés. Only she would be alone, and she couldn't stand the thought of Lillian mocking her again. As she waited at the traffic light, something caught her eye. On the roadside sat a beggar. His clothes were dusty, his hair messy, but there was something in his face that made her look twice. He wasn't ugly. In fact, he was very handsome. Amara rolled down her window and stared at him. The beggar, sitting quietly with a small tin in front of him, looked up and smiled politely. "Good afternoon, madam. Do you always sit here?" she asked. "Yes, madam, this is my spot," he replied humbly. "What's your name?" "Ethan." Amara stared at him for a while, then suddenly had an idea. A crazy one. "Get in the car." He looked confused. "Madam, I said get in. I want to talk to you somewhere private." Ethan looked around, unsure. "I'm sorry, madam, I can't enter a stranger's car." Amara smiled. "I'm not a stranger. You're about to become my fiancé." "You're what?" Ethan's eyes widened in shock. "I'll explain everything. Just come with me." He hesitated, then slowly stood up, picked up his tin, and got in. Inside her mansion, Amara explained everything. "I need someone to pretend to be my fiancé for our family reunion. My cousins are getting married, and I can't show up without someone by my side. I need you." Ethan laughed nervously. "Madam, I'm just a poor beggar. Your family will know I'm not from your world." "That's why you'll stay here with me before the reunion," she said confidently. "I'll clean you up, change your look, teach you how to talk like a rich man. They won't know the difference." "I'm sorry, madam," he said, standing up. "This is too much. I can't lie to your family." She crossed her arms and looked at him. "I'll pay you." He paused. "I'll give you 5 million naira now and 5 million after the reunion deal." Ethan blinked. That kind of money could feed him for months. "You're serious?" he asked. She nodded, dead serious. He thought for a moment, then slowly sat back down. "Okay, I'll do it." Amara smiled with satisfaction. "Good. You'll stay in the guest room. Tomorrow we start your transformation. I want those fools to see the kind of man I'm bringing to the reunion." "But, madam," he said, "won't they ask questions about me?" "Just leave the talking to me. From now on, your name is Ethan Williams, a businessman based in Silvercrest City." Ethan nodded. "Yes, madam." "And stop calling me madam. Call me Amara. We're lovers now, remember? He laughed. Okay, Amara. Even in dirty clothes, he was still handsome. With a little grooming, he could pass for any rich man. As she walked out of the room, she whispered to herself, "This reunion will be unforgettable." The next morning, Amara knocked on the guest room door, holding a towel, fresh clothes, and a brand new toothbrush. "Ethan, wake up. Today is makeover day." Ethan opened the door, rubbing his eyes. He had slept on a soft bed for the first time in years. The scent of fresh linen still clung to him. Amara handed him the items. "Go take a hot shower. I've booked a salon appointment for you. We need to fix that hair and beard." Ethan smiled. "Yes, Amara." "And please," she added, raising an eyebrow, "try to act like you've lived in a house like this before. You almost bowed to the chef yesterday." He laughed. "Sorry, old habits." An hour later, Amara drove him to a luxury men's salon. The barbers trimmed his beard, styled his hair, and gave him a gentle facial treatment. When he stepped out, clean and glowing, Amara blinked. "You look... wow." He chuckled. "Is that a compliment?" "Don't let it get to your head," she said quickly, looking away. Next stop was a boutique. She made him try on expensive suits, shoes, and wristwatches. After spending nearly 500,000 naira, she stood back and admired him. Now he didn't just look like a rich man, he looked like a CEO. "This will work," she said proudly. "The girls won't know what hit them." That evening, back at the mansion, Amara sat with Ethan in the living room and began training him. "Rule number 1, she said, holding a glass of wine, no begging language. Don't say, madam, don't say a beggar, don't say, thank you, ma'am. You are a boss." "Okay, boss lady," Ethan teased. She rolled her eyes but smiled. "Rule number 2, when they ask about your work, say you own a tech company in Silvercrest City. Make it sound simple and believable." He nodded. "What's the company's name?" How about Prime Access?" He grinned. "I like that." Over the next few days, Amara taught him how to walk like a rich man, eat like a rich man, and speak with confidence. She was surprised at how quickly he learned. He was smart, very smart. One afternoon, while helping him adjust his tie, she paused. "You know, you're actually very handsome." Ethan smiled, eyes soft. "Thank you. You're beautiful too, Amara." She cleared her throat quickly and stepped back. "Focus. We still have a lot to do." But as the days passed, something strange began to happen. Amara laughed more. Ethan made her smile with his silly jokes and calm presence. He wasn't like the arrogant rich men she had dated before. He was gentle, thoughtful, real. One night, they sat by the pool after dinner. The moonlight danced on the water and soft music played from her phone. "Why are you helping me?" he asked suddenly. Amara looked at him. "Honestly, I don't even know anymore. At first, it was about pride. I didn't want to be the only one without a man at the reunion. And now I don't know. Maybe because you remind me of something I've been missing." He looked into her eyes. "Like what?" "Peace," she whispered. The silence between them grew deep, but just as she was about to say more, her phone rang. It was her mother. "Amara, are you still coming to the reunion? Everyone is preparing." "Yes, Mom, I'll be there with someone special." Her mother laughed with joy. "Ah, finally! I can't wait to meet him." As she hung up, Amara turned to Ethan. "Get ready. You're meeting my whole family this weekend." He raised an eyebrow. "Are you sure I'm ready?" "Oh, you'll be perfect." But what Amara didn't know was that Ethan wasn't just playing along. He had a secret of his own. The morning of the reunion finally arrived. Amara stood in front of her mirror, adjusting her elegant wine-colored gown. The fabric hugged her perfectly, flowing down to the floor with quiet sophistication. Her makeup was flawless, her hair styled neatly, and for the first time in weeks, she felt confident. Not because of the dress, but because of Ethan. There was a soft knock on her door. "Come in," she said. Ethan stepped inside. For a moment, Amara forgot how to breathe. He was wearing a perfectly tailored navy blue suit, a crisp white shirt, and a slim black tie. His hair styled neatly. The expensive wristwatch she bought him gleamed under the light. He didn't look like a roadside beggar anymore. He looked powerful. He looked like a man who owned buildings in Silvercrest City. "Well?" he asked, spreading his arms slightly. "Do I pass?" Amara slowly nodded. "You don't just pass. You look better than I expected." Ethan smiled. "And you look breathtaking." She felt heat rise to her cheeks, but quickly composed herself. "Remember everything I taught you." He nodded confidently. "I'm Ethan Williams, CEO of Prime Axis, based in Silvercrest City." She gave him an approving look. "Good." They walked downstairs together. The driver opened the car door, and within minutes they were on their way to Elderstone Estate, where the entire extended family had already gathered. When their car pulled into the estate, heads turned immediately. Elderstone Estate was buzzing with laughter, expensive perfumes, and colorful outfits. Relatives from different parts of Silvercrest had come for the grand reunion. Cars lined the driveway, music floated through the air. As Amara stepped out of the car holding Ethan's arm, conversations paused. Whispers began. "Is that Amara? Who is that man? Since when?" Mrs. Grace, her mother, was the first to approach. She looked at Ethan from head to toe, clearly impressed. "Amara," she said slowly, trying to hide her excitement. "Won't you introduce us?" Amara smiled sweetly. "Mom, this is Ethan, my fiancé." Mrs. Grace's eyes widened. "Fiancé?" Ethan extended his hand politely. "It's a pleasure to finally meet you, ma'am." His voice was calm, confident, smooth. Mrs. Grace beamed. "The pleasure is mine." And then Lillian appeared. She froze mid-step when she saw them. Her eyes scanned Ethan carefully, from the polished shoes to the expensive watch, from his posture to the way he stood beside Amara like he truly belonged there. She forced a smile. "Cousin, you didn't tell us you were bringing royalty." Amara squeezed Ethan's arm slightly. "Some surprises are better shown than announced." Lillian stepped closer to Ethan. "So, what do you do?" "I run Prime Axis. We specialize in tech solutions and corporate strategy. Our headquarters is in Silvercrest City." Lillian blinked. That answer sounded real. Too real. "Oh," she said, trying to maintain composure. "Impressive." Across the lawn, Mrs. Beatrice was watching carefully. Her expression was not friendly. The reunion activities continued. Food was served, drinks flowed, laughter filled the air. Everywhere they went, people admired Ethan. "He's so handsome. He carries himself well. Amara did well." Each compliment stabbed at Lillian's pride. Later in the afternoon, family members gathered for a group introduction session. Each cousin stood with their partner and shared updates about their lives. When it was Amara's turn, she stood tall. "This is Ethan," she said confidently. "We met in Silvercrest City through mutual friends. He owns Prime Axis, and we plan to formalize things soon." Murmurs of approval spread. Ethan spoke briefly about business growth, future expansion, and investment opportunities. His intelligence showed naturally. He didn't struggle, he didn't hesitate. Even the uncles nodded in respect. Lillian's smile slowly faded. She leaned toward her mother, Mrs. Beatrice. "Something is wrong," she whispered. "She found him too fast." Mrs. Beatrice narrowed her eyes. "We'll find out." As evening approached, music played and couples danced on the lawn. Ethan extended his hand toward Amara. "May I?" She hesitated for half a second, then placed her hand in his. They danced slowly under the golden lights of Elderstone Estate. For a moment, the pretending didn't feel like pretending anymore. Lillian watched them, her jaw tightening. Amara caught her stare and smiled faintly. This was exactly what she wanted. But she didn't notice something else. During a quiet moment away from the crowd, Ethan stepped aside to take a phone call. His voice changed. "Yes, everything is under control. No, she doesn't know yet." There was a pause. "I'll explain when I return." He ended the call and returned to Amara with his usual calm expression. "Everything okay?" she asked. "Just business," he replied. She nodded, trusting him completely. As the night ended, the reunion had one clear conclusion. Amara had won, Lillian was furious, and Ethan was hiding something far bigger than anyone imagined. After the reunion at Elderstone Estate, Amara and Ethan drove back home in silence. It was not an uncomfortable silence. It was the kind that carried emotions too heavy for words. The night had been a success. Every stare, every whisper, every compliment had restored something inside Amara. For the first time in a long time, she did not feel small. She did not feel judged. She did not feel behind. She had walked in confidently, with the most composed and admirable man by her side. When they arrived at her mansion in Silvercrest, Ethan stepped out first and opened her door. "Thank you," she said softly. They entered the house together and sat in the living room. The lights were dim. The night felt calm. Ethan leaned forward slightly. "Amara?" She looked up. "I need to tell you something." Her heart skipped. "Go ahead." He took a deep breath and moved closer, his eyes fixed on hers. "I love you." The words landed gently but powerfully. Amara froze. "What?" "I love you," he repeated softly. "I know this started as a deal, a performance, but somewhere along the way, it stopped being fake for me." Her eyes filled slowly. "You're strong, proud. You don't bend for anyone. But you're also kind. You gave a stranger a chance. You believed in me when you didn't even know me." Her voice trembled. "Ethan," he finished, "I fell for you." Tears slipped down her cheeks. "I love you too," she whispered. "I've been waiting for you to say it." He smiled faintly. "Please don't leave, not after everything." He looked down briefly. "I have to go on Monday. There are things I need to handle, but I promise I will call you. I will visit often." She reached for his hand. "Promise me one thing. Anything. Never go back to that roadside. Never sit there again. Never beg, even if life becomes difficult." A gentle smile crossed his face. "I won't. I won't even pass that road. The money you gave me is enough to start something small. You saved me, Amara." She shook her head softly. "You saved me, too." He reached up and brushed her cheek lightly with his fingers. Then he leaned in and kissed her. She did not pull away. She kissed him back. That night there was no pretending, no rehearsed lines, no act, just two people who had unexpectedly found something real. But inside Ethan's heart, something unsettled him. He had not told her the full truth. He was not starting a small business. He already owned one of the biggest companies in Africa. He was not a beggar by accident. He had chosen to disappear. And soon the truth would rise.